It was Christmas Eve in Portland, and they only set 4 plates. Not 5. I hesitated at the doorway, eyes tracing the old oak table we'd gathered around for years. My seat was missing. In its place sat a glittery centerpiece, pinecones, a gold ribbon, and the quiet sting of exclusion. Chloe breezed in 20 minutes late, draped in faux fur and perfume that arrived before she did. "Oh, Marissa," she said, loud and theatrical, flashing a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Still rocking the thrift shop chic, huh?" The words landed soft but smug, like a backhanded compliment dressed in cashmere. I took the only open seat across from her and said nothing. She held the floor like a TED Talk speaker, bragging about her new title, how her manager said she was the future of finance. "Mom?" Chloe. "Dad?" Silent but nodding. Even Aunt Lori, who once called Chloe a spoiled brat, asked for career tips. No one asked about the 14-hour train ride I took to get there. No one asked what I was building. Not one, "How have you been?" At one point Chloe leaned in, syrupy and sharp. "Honestly, it's kind of inspiring how you've embraced the whole minimalist phase. Like, full reset. 5 years strong." They laughed. I didn't even blink. I just raised my cider glass, took a sip, and let it pass. Because I already knew something Chloe didn't. That 6-figure bonus she was flexing? I approved it. Quietly, anonymously. But not tonight. Not here. Let them laugh. Let them overlook me. Again. It only makes the silence that's coming ring louder. They think I've been drifting, that I lost the plot when I walked away from that big-name firm 5 years ago. But I didn't walk away. I walked towards something better. Now I run the investment group that quietly acquired her company last quarter. She reports to a name she's never seen. Mine. "Have the numbers ready by sunrise," my old boss used to say. "And make it look like I thought of it first." And I did, every time. Until the morning I didn't. I closed my laptop, slid my ID badge across the desk, and walked out. No speech, no goodbyes, no thank you for everything. Just a quiet exit and a louder promise I'd start over. On my terms. What came next wasn't flashy. No startup launch party, no glossy LinkedIn post. Just 3 smart people, a stack of ND-bound contracts, and a business I ran from a corner of my apartment with a second-hand desk and an ocean view. A boutique firm, quiet, precise, understated. We didn't need a big name. We fixed problems for the companies that had them. And Chloe? Chloe was one of those problems. She didn't know, of course. My name never touched her inbox. It lived in contract headers, billing sheets, and back-end approval forms. She didn't know the firm managing her department's restructure was mine. So when her text came, "Brunch tomorrow, bringing the girls, wear something not tragic," I didn't reply right away. We hadn't had a real conversation in years. The last one ended with her asking, "Still doing that little hustle thing?" Like I was a barista dabbling in dreams. Part of me wanted to ghost her. But a deeper part, the part that spent months fixing the inefficiencies her team created, chose otherwise. "Sure, what time?" She answered in seconds. 10 a.m., Hazel and Pine, and don't wear those sad flats. Hazel and Pine, of course. The kind of place where influencers took selfies with poached eggs. A place where being seen meant everything. I stared at my closet. I didn't need anything new. I wasn't dressing to impress. I wasn't even dressing for her. This wasn't about revenge. It wasn't about proving her wrong. It was about showing up, calm, quiet, and undeniable. Because sometimes the best way to answer someone who made you feel small is to let them sit across from everything they underestimated. "Have the numbers ready by sunrise," my old boss used to say, and make it look like I thought of it first. And I did, every time, until the morning I closed my laptop, slid my ID badge across the desk, and walked out. No speech, no goodbyes, no thank you for everything. Just a quiet exit and a louder promise I'd start over, on my terms. What came next wasn't flashy. No startup launch party, no glossy LinkedIn post. Just 3 smart people, a stack of NDA-bound contracts, and a business I ran from a corner of my apartment with a second-hand desk and an ocean view. A boutique firm. Quiet, precise, understated. We didn't need a big name. We fixed problems for the companies that had them. And Chloe? Chloe was one of those problems. She didn't know, of course. My name never touched her inbox. It lived in contract headers, billing sheets, and back-end approval forms. She didn't know the firm managing her department's restructure was mine. So when her text came, brunch tomorrow bringing the girls, wear something not tragic, I didn't reply right away. We hadn't had a real conversation in years. The last one ended with her asking, still doing that little hustle thing? Like I was a barista dabbling in dreams. Part of me wanted to ghost her, but a deeper part, the part that spent months fixing the inefficiencies her team created, chose otherwise. Sure, what time? She answered in seconds, 10 a.m., Hazel and Pine, and don't wear those sad flats. Hazel and Pine. Of course, the kind of place where influencers took selfies with poached eggs. A place where being seen meant everything. I stared at my closet. I didn't need anything new. I wasn't dressing to impress. I wasn't even dressing for her. This wasn't about revenge. It wasn't about proving her wrong. It was about showing up calm, quiet, and undeniable. Because sometimes, the best way to answer someone who made you feel small is to let them sit across from everything they underestimate. No need for sequins or statements. Just clean lines, strong shoes, and something tailored sharp enough to slice through pretense. Chloe wanted a performance. Fine. I'd give her one, just not the part she expected me to play. Hazel and Pine smelled like lemon zest and curated ambition. I stepped in right at 10. Not early enough to look eager. Not late enough to look flustered. The hostess scanned my outfit, lingering at the boots, the coat, then smiled with polite reassessment. Chloe waved me over from the back. Their table was full, 3 women, all beige knits and high-end bags, laughing too loud over half-empty flutes. No one stood. No hugs. Hey, Chloe said, dragging it out like I was lucky to be acknowledged. We were just talking about dating apps, she added. Marissa's basically a ghost. She probably still thinks swiping's for debit cards. Polite chuckles circled the table. One of her friends, Elena maybe, tilted her head. So, what do you do? Before I opened my mouth, Chloe jumped in. She's exploring, soul first, career second. Very find yourself in the wilderness vibes. It wasn't overtly cruel, just sugar-coated dismissal. I stirred my tea, calm. The waiter arrived, but Chloe waved him off. We'll do the prefix. She's with us. She's with us. Not hospitality. Hierarchy. I glanced at their jewelry, the casual entitlement in their posture, the assumption that I needed inclusion to be validated. I said nothing, didn't mention that her bonus last quarter had come from a retention proposal I personally signed off on. Didn't need to. I smiled, folded my napkin, and let them keep their version of me intact a little longer. They bragged about conferences, deadlines, venture partners who just didn't get it, interns who cracked under pressure. Chloe, all shine and show, relished it. I let her. Let the courses come and go. Smiled on cue, nodded when expected. And then, just as dessert arrived, the waiter returned, polished, unreadable, and set a leather-bound check holder gently in front of me. The whole table blinked. And in that moment, the silence was worth everything. Already covered, the waiter said, casual, like this happened all the time. The card on file from Calder and Reed Consulting took care of it. Chloe blinked. Wait. Calder what? He didn't pause, just clarified smoothly, it's who booked the table. Calder and Reed, partner account. They comped here often, the more directly, your name's Chloe, right? Her face didn't change at first, but something flickered, tight and small, right behind her eyes. Recognition elbowing disbelief. Yeah, she said slowly. That's me. Finally she looked at me, really looked. And for the first time all morning, I didn't feel invisible. I didn't flinch, didn't explain, just reached for the check, flipped it open, and scanned the total. Zeroed out, of course, like it was just business. Because it was. One of the women leaned in, curious now. You're with Calder and Reed. What do they do? I folded the receipt back inside, set it down neatly. We manage performance. That was all I said. Then I stood, brushed a small wrinkle from my coat sleeve, and gave Chloe a soft, effortless smile. Next time, I said, calm and kind, just let me know if you want to expense dessert. Saves everyone the surprise. I walked out slowly, leaving space for the silence to settle behind me. Let her feel it. It wasn't the first time she'd seen my name, just the first time she'd noticed. Weeks before brunch, she'd received a department performance report. A neat little memo, corporate speak, action items, benchmarks. She bragged about it on LinkedIn. Thrilled to be part of a company-wide optimization initiative. Growth starts with accountability. What she didn't mention was the signature at the bottom. Marissa. Part, the same name on the cover letter of the firm her company brought in to streamline productivity, aka trim the fat. She loved the formatting, quoted one of the bullet points in a team meeting. But the signature? She skimmed it. Didn't imagine the sister she called Drifty could be the one shaping her metrics, her raise eligibility, her corporate future. HR had already brought her into one of the compliance sessions. She'd signed the acknowledgement, skimmed the contract. Same name, same initials, still didn't see it. Because some people only read what they expect to see. The same name, Marissa Renner. But when you spend years looking down on someone, you forget to actually see them. You stop imagining they could ever get ahead. So even when Chloe saw the name, she didn't see it. And now, seated at a table she thought she controlled, watching me walk away without raising my voice or raising a hand, she finally knew. Not because I told her, but because the signature she always skipped had just paid her check. I paused, turned slightly. Chloe smiled too wide, too quickly. Wait, you work there? She said, a brittle laugh tucked behind the question, as if this was all a charming coincidence. Her voice played casual, but her hands betrayed her, one gripping her phone, the other folding her napkin again and again. I slid back into my seat, calm, precise. I don't work there, I said evenly. I built it. Silence, not awkward, electric. Even the waiter froze mid-pour like the air had shifted. Alina, the one with the flawless liner, tilted her head. Wait, you're Renner? From Calder and Reed? She turned to Chloe. That's your firm, right? Chloe let out a breathy half-laugh, said nothing. I sipped my tea, slow. We've worked with a few departments, I said, but the tech division, that one's personal. Another beat of silence. Longer this time. The kind that says, everything's changed. I reached for my clutch, checked a text, and rose. Ladies, I said, my tone soft, certain. Thanks for brunch. Chloe, as always, delightful. Iced. I didn't wait for a reply. Didn't need one. Because the impact wasn't in a speech. It was in the stillness. In the way the room no longer echoed with laughter. And as I walked away, steady, unfazed, I knew something Chloe had only just started to grasp. Respect isn't demanded, it's returned. She didn't call right after, not during the silence, not while the sun was still up, but later, long after the last mimosa had vanished and the cafe lights dimmed. My phone buzzed once, then again. I answered on the third ring, not because I owed her anything, but because I was curious what version of the truth she'd try to rewrite. Hey, she said, so that was weird, right? I didn't respond. I let the quiet stretch. I mean, I just didn't know, Chloe finally said. You could have said something. She didn't say mocked. You. She didn't say dismissed. She didn't say treated you like a footnote for half a decade. Why didn't you ever tell us what you do? She asked, voice soft now, like whispering made the question innocent. She leaned against my kitchen counter, watching the city flicker beyond the window like the truth might be hiding in the skyline. You weren't listening, I said plainly. You were busy writing the version of me that worked best for you. Silence. Then, Marissa, can we just agree that this doesn't go beyond that table? A pause. I mean, it's not really relevant to HR, right? There it was. Not regret. Not apology. Just fear. Not fear that she'd misunderstood me. Fear that someone else might now have to. I wouldn't worry, I said, pouring another cup of tea. The contract speaks for itself. She didn't respond. Maybe she thought I was bluffing. Or maybe, for the first time, she understood that I wasn't the one trying to be understood anymore. She was. The next time we saw each other wasn't in person. It was through a screen. I logged into the Q3 audit presentation 5 minutes early. Always 5. The conference room was quiet, clean. A carafe of untouched water sat in the center of the table. Then the camera blinked. Chloe walked in. She didn't see me at first, still talking to someone off-screen, a leather folio clutched like it granted her legitimacy. Then her eyes lifted. Met my. Her smile stalled, tilted, then faltered. Let's begin, I said, voice neutral. This session will cover departmental performance, overspending, and accountability. Slide 1 loaded. Her name appeared twice, once under pending review, once under recommended restructure. I didn't flinch, didn't gloat, just moved through the data. The misses, the metrics, the silence where leadership should have acted. She scribbled notes like she could rewrite the story with ink. But the paper trail was already clean. And at the end, the director thanked me. One of the partners leaned in. Do we need to escalate this? I shook my head. No escalation, just documentation. That was the moment Chloe learned what no brunch table had ever taught her. This wasn't personal. It was professional. And in that conference room, with my signature on her file, she wasn't my sister. She was a subject of audit. No drama, no announcements, just a clean memo. Chloe Renner, under review pending further evaluation. A few lines, clinical, precise. Her promotion, frozen. Travel budget, revoked. System access, limited. The calendar that once overflowed with leadership syncs and strategy brainstorms began to clear. She texted once, "Is this your doing?" I didn't answer. Because it wasn't revenge. It was responsive. She'd played into a system that erased the quiet, rewarded volume over value. Now the system was watching her. She came in early, stayed late. Triple-checked what she used to delegate. But the review was already closed. The audit trail, clean. At the next executive sync, I was listed as an external consultant. Chloe said nothing. I logged off before the room could pretend nothing changed. That Friday, I signed the final report from a quiet cafe 2 hours outside the city. The waitress didn't know my name, but called me ma'am with kindness. The silence felt earned. I never heard from Chloe again, not directly. Only murmurs that she was exploring new roles, a soft exit. And me? I stopped shrinking. I no longer rushed to explain why I left. No longer needed rooms to applaud, just not to define me without asking. A few weeks later, I passed Hazel and Pine again. Chloe was there. She didn't see me at first, but when she did, our eyes locked. For a second, she looked away. Then I kept walking. Not out of pride, not vengeance, but because I didn't need her recognition anymore. She couldn't rewrite me. Not now. Not ever again. They don't ask about me at family dinners. Not in texts. Not at holidays. And that's fine, because I've learned. Revenge doesn't always show up with fireworks. Sometimes it walks out quietly, with dignity, and the power to never need validation again. If you've ever been underestimated, silenced, or made to feel like your worth depends on someone else's recognition, tell me your story. I see you. Leave a comment. Let's create space for every voice that's been overlooked and every quiet strength that's been mistaken for weakness. You don't need to shout to be powerful. You just need to stop apologizing for who you are. To anyone still sitting at the wrong table waiting to be seen, don't. Build your own. Define yourself before anyone else gets the chance, and when they finally realize who you've been all along, walk away unbothered.